melt when I'm ocean waves.
Tonight on Nova Legends podcast, I had Patriot coach Sherman Rivers back again. Sherman is a 99 graduate of Potomac High School. I think he went to 2 or 3 state tournaments with Potomac. 03 graduate of William and Mary, which UVA guys, we don't care for William and Mary very much, but we respect them. And coach had a long career over in Europe, and then has been coaching. Has taken Patriot to the last deep into the last 2 state finals, state tournaments, and has got a great team this year. Coach, good to see you. Thanks for joining me.
Good to see you, Julian. Been a while, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's almost time again. It's October, so
I know, right? Just like that.
Coach, first of all, update me on how your kids from last year are doing. Jay Randall, Mal Coleman,
Nasir Coleman.
Nasir, Mal's his dad. But
Right.
let me know how those kids how are they doing this year.
So Jay Randall and Kaden Bates, they're at Mary Washington.
Sure.
And Nasir is at UDC, University of DC. So I think it's always funny when those guys get to school and they realize that all the things they thought that you were doing was difficult was not as hard as they thought compared to what they have to do at the next level. So I've gotten some messages from them talking about some of the things they've been asked to do in conditioning and in practice. And I said, I tried to tell you, but it's good. They're doing well. The coaches are very happy with them. Those kids are always hyper competitive, so I know that they'll do well.
I'm sure that you've said this a million times, but there's nothing like high school basketball. So I mean, after high school basketball, it's all downhill. No matter how high you get,
Yeah,
there's nothing better than competing in high school basketball. Jay was a football player as well. He plays last year. I would have thought he would have been a major Division I prospect on football. Just his athleticism was off the charts. His competitiveness.
right.
He's a great basketball player. One of my favorite players. Could he have gone Division I football?
I mean, if he could have, somebody would have offered him a scholarship. So
nobody did, huh?
I think the biggest thing he had was like a Division II school that came in there at the beginning, but wasn't anything like that where they were beating his door down for that. And I think it's you can get me all over the place when it comes to recruiting. I don't really know the ins and outs from a football standpoint. From basketball, it's just all over the place. I just don't understand it. It just doesn't make any sense.
It's ridiculous. But if that kid is not a Division I athlete in football, I've never seen one. But
I mean, it's crazy enough. I mean, he gets to state tournament in the high jump for track. He was all district in football, and all region and all state in basketball. So, this kid's just a really good athlete, and sometimes people just don't notice it.
Yeah, I thought against Hayfield in the state final, I don't think your team played your best game of the year, but I thought Jay had a tremendous game. I thought he came to battle, and anyone who saw him play that day, maybe things didn't all go his way, but he showed the quality of athlete he is.
Right.
Are your kids this year? Are any of them playing? Football? Are they all basketball?
Makai Dillard, number 5 for us last year. He'll be a starter for us this year, most likely. He's currently playing football. He hadn't played up until his senior year as well, so he's playing wide receiver for them and doing pretty well. Caught a touchdown on Friday. So
I thought you got a lot out of Kai last year. I thought he did a great job.
I mean, he's probably one of the most underrated players around just because he's not putting up the numbers. But as far as a glue guy and does all the little stuff for us, he'll be probably our best defender this year. Excellent rebounder, excellent passer, kind of quarterback of the defense.
I think it's a little bit like Dez. When you have a really talented team, sometimes it's hard to get plaudits when you have, folks around you that are, making all region, all Met or whatever.
Well, I mean, throwing Dez out there, that has nothing to do with Dez. That has everything to do with the way the voting goes. So I think last year the coaches just didn't want to put 4 of my guys on first team all district. And if you're not first team all district, you can't get a certain level of all region. And if you're not a certain level of all region, you can't get all state. So It's amazing that our leading scorer the last 2 years was a second team all district kid on a team that won 26, 27 games.
I remember the first time I saw Des play sophomore year, I called you up and I says, "Who's that kid? Who's that kid? The left-handed kid you have?" He said, "He's only a sophomore." I mean, he caught my eye right away. His strength, his confidence.
Yeah,
he handles
he's a
himself.
good player. Good player. He's going to handle the ball a lot more for us this year.
Yeah, but when you have a lot of talent, sometimes, unfortunately, it can get a little bit lost in the shuffle. How's the summer been? Any surprise? I know you got Tay Barber. Tay is signed from assigned to go to Harvard next year. Play for a guy I played against in high school, Tommy Amaker.
Yeah.
And so you've retooled. I mean, I think on paper, you guys are very strong, just as strong as you were last year. How's the offseason been?
I think it's been pretty good. It's had its ups and downs. Obviously, losing the 3 guys that we talked about at the beginning. The leadership that they gave us, and just defensively what they gave us. Guys had to start figuring out how they were going to contribute to the things that they did and that we were missing. We were talking about Dez. We hadn't talked about Isaiah yet, but those guys have been able to be kind of in the background as leaders on our team their sophomore and junior year, because the guys we mentioned were out front kind of leading the charge. So now they're trying to figure out how to balance also playing, but also being a leader, being the voice when needs to be something said. So it's just them trying to figure that part out. And then obviously, Tay coming over, just trying to immerse himself in the way that we do things, especially defensively. It wasn't something that I was worried about for as far as the guys on the team, because he grew up with those guys. I mean, he played with Isaiah and a couple of our players growing up, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And it's not something where it's like he's not ever been around because his father lives down the street from Patriot High School. So we would see him at Patriot football games on Friday night sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing over here in the past? So it's been good. He's just trying to find his way. Really talented player, but obviously trying to show some things that might not have been at the forefront when he was playing at his previous location.
He's a quality player, and his dad, I really love that new Tesla he's driving around. Let's talk about
this guy.
Let's talk about Isaiah Vick for a little bit, because I feel like he gets lost in the shuffle. He's a quality player, 6'6", maybe 6'7", 6'6", yeah. He can do a little bit of everything. He's a slasher. He can shoot. He can rebound. He can block shots. Tough kid. He doesn't back down, even though he's not a big guy.
Right.
I feel like he gets kind of lost in the shuffle because he's always been there. How's Isaiah doing?
I mean, Isaiah's had a great offseason. I thought he had a great summer. Really did well for us in the Capital Hoop Summer League and in the live periods. He's just one of those guys that every time we play against somebody that's supposed to be this or be that, he just ends up having a big game. Going back to last season, playing against Cam Ward in the Capital Hoop Showcase, I thought he did an excellent job, was MVP of that game. In the games that we played against the Purple guys, he was very big in those games for sure. I thought he played really well in the state tournament when we played against the big guy from Oscar Smith. We had a matchup with Woodside at VA Live, and they had a big guy, I think, that's been offered by Tech, obviously where his dad went to school. So maybe he took that a little personal because I thought he outplayed that kid that game. It just, it's another one of those things where the recruiting doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You got a kid that's 6'7", can step away from the basket, put the ball on the floor, has started and played and won a lot of games as a high school player, has excellent genes, being from the Vick family. So it's, he's got control what he can control. He's going to have a really good year. And it's going to be one of those things that people are going to be like, all right, I hope we didn't miss the boat on this, but some of them are going to end up missing out of and being upset at themselves at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Division I player. So Abe Halim is a player that got on most people's radar on the Hayfield game last year, the opening night last year. packed house over at Hayfield, amazing game. Abe came up with 11, 12, 13 big points. Abe is a player that surprises people. How is Abe doing this offseason?
Another one had a great summer shooting the basketball, especially. Me and one of our coaches were talking about this, and for all the good players that we've had in our program, Abe arguably might be the best 3-level scorer that we've had as far as the way he's able to can finish at the rim. He's an excellent mid-range shooter, which is clearly a lost art. And then shot the ball really well from three this summer, around 40 to 45%. So the thing that's going to be crazy is that each night he's going to get the fourth best defender guarding him, because you have Isaiah, Desmond, and Tay probably getting a lot of the other team's attention. And so he's going to have a lot of big games just because people are going to look at him as an afterthought. But he's going to be an all-league sort of type player for us this year for sure.
Yeah. Awesome talent. Now, Coach, you had a great freshman guard last year. I love this kid. He really made a lot of big threes. It's tough on a freshman down the stretch. I definitely think the games got tough, and you didn't quite use him quite as much. But obviously, he's just a freshman. He's got plenty of time. I think his name is Kai. Is his name Kai?
Kai Wilcox.
How's Kai? How's Kai doing?
I was just, funny enough, I was talking about this the other day. I think Kai, from a weight room and conditioning standpoint, has had an excellent off season. I mean, he played well in the games when the minutes that he's getting and coming in and shooting the ball the way he's an excellent shooter. But I mean, he's gained 15 pounds from last year.
15.
Yeah. Well, listen, and I said, listen, man, you're starting to look a little bit, keep taking your shirt off of here. He said, Coach, I put on like 14, 15 pounds from last year. Like good, like muscle, not anything that's bad. Had a good summer playing with one of the takeover teams. So that was good. And then obviously what he did for us. But he's just an excellent shooter, and he's learning each day more and more how to play the point guard position, which is going to be actually very important.
Yeah. Well, when you look around your district was awesome last year because you guys were tough. Battlefield was very tough. They had a very experienced team. They'd been to the state final the year before. They had guys that Coach Bills had for 3 or 4 years.
Right.
They all graduated. And I mean, those matchups were amazing. Gainesville lost. What's the kid's name, Coach? Went to
Grant Pope.
Yeah, Grant Pope. He's downtown. Osborne, obviously, Tays is at Patriot now. Your district went from one of the strongest in the state. I think you pretty much lay over the field. I don't want to get. I know you don't want to get cocky, but your district is really taking a hit in the offseason. What does your district look like when you look around?
Well, I mean, it's clearly not going to be the level that has been in the past. I mean, there was one year that we had 4 teams ranked in the top 10 in Division 6. I want to say that was around 18 or 19. Obviously, with what the Purple guys have been able to do, I think that Randy does a great job coaching his guys up. Had a very experienced group that had been together for a long time and took a hit with the graduation. I think they probably had 10 or 11 seniors on that roster. But, I'm sure he's got some kids that either have transferred in or that were waiting for their opportunity. And, playing against us, it's a rivalry game. We always get different levels of, effort from teams, not even just from them, but just across the board. Obviously, Grant leaving from over there was going to be a hit for them. And then, I know Tay leaving from Osborne was a hit, but at the same time, it wasn't like they were blowing the doors off of it last year. So Durham's going to have a tough, deal over there. But he's got some guys that's got some talent. So, and then, I know OP lost a kid to a private school. Freedom South Riding coach does an excellent job with his guys, getting them to play hard and run his system. So even though it might not be like so heavy as far as like, all right, all these teams could possibly make deep runs into the playoffs, they're all going to, be tough for what they are. And, I say this every year, and I'm sure it makes everybody mad, especially, my man down the street. But until someone beats us, it's our district. So I'm gonna say it, and then if it's us until it ain't, and it's been us for the last 6-7 years. So
Well, this year you're gonna have like a Hayfield job in the national district. I just don't see it's gonna be tough, and it's a shame because the postseason is so watered down. Your teams you play over and over again. Like a Hayfield South Lakes matchup doesn't come until the state tournament. You guys go through the same thing, and last year at least we had that Battlefield matchup. It was such a great matchup. I drove all the way down to see it because that was that was as good as you get in the area in the state.
I mean, listen, like I said, it was a good matchup just because, like you said, as far as the level of talent from both sides. But I say this, and I know that it's hard for you old northern region guys to really grasp it, but I think it's got to be arguably one of the best rivalry in the state because it doesn't matter. I remember back before we became what we are now. My first year, we played them. It was a packed house, and we came down to the last couple of possessions, and we won 11 games that season. So it's just always going to be that level of intensity. Now, I don't expect the games to be as close as they were the last couple of years, and really, there's a couple of them we still won by double digits, but they'll still be tough just because of the proximity and the kids growing up with each other and whatnot. But it's clearly not going to be the marquee sort of thing for the casual fan to want to come in on. But I just, if it was me and we find out that both of us are playing each other, I would try to be there because it's always, a pretty special event.
I mean, it's a rivalry game. You can't take it for granted. But last year in December, it was a packed house. When you can pack a house in December, my son was back from fall break for college. We drove all the way down there, and we were all out to find a seat. And it was an amazing game. They jumped out on you. Then Isaiah kept you guys in the game, and you guys eventually imposed your will. Just an amazing game. But let's, I just don't see it this year, Coach. But I'm a big fan of Coach Bills, but I think it's going to be a rebuilding year for Battlefield. Let's go to the eastern part of Prince William County. Is that still Commonwealth? That's what it used to be called. Is it still called?
It's the Cardinal. Commonwealth is down in Stafford.
Okay. It's a Cardinal. That is the strength of one of the strongest districts in the state, without question. I think Forest Park is probably the team to beat.
I don't know if you want to say it's one of the strongest districts in the state. No disrespect to them. I think obviously Forest Park's going to be very good, bringing everybody back. Potomac's always really good. But once you get past them, I mean, Freedom's very talented. And if their guards get after it, you can say that. But it's not like it's like overly deep. Colgan losing Nate.
Yeah, it's true.
I know that Courtney coaches his guys up and they'll play hard, but I'm not sure that you would necessarily say that they're competing for a state tournament this year. But I could be wrong. Garfield has had their struggles in the past and as of recent. So, you want to say that because of the history of what you're thinking, but it's like Forest Park and Potomac right now, and the rest of them kind of have to figure out where they're at.
So you think it's kind of top heavy as well?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do.
Okay. Well, let's go to the former northern region. Now it's northern region, Occoquan region, 6C and B, 6C and D. Last year it was South Lakes and 6C. It was Hayfield and 6D. Maybe that's reversed, but Hayfield graduated everybody,
right?
Most of their players, but they had some very good young players. Right. South Lakes has got Jordan Scott, and I got some transfers in from O'Connell. How do you handicap the Fairfax, Alexandria, Arlington area?
Obviously, lost a lot of guys from two great teams the last 2 years, obviously, that were able to win it all. But that he's going to do a good job. I always tell guys it's so funny. They'll look at teams like us or Los and start trying to gauge how people look at this point. Like, guys, they're going to look completely different when it's in January because he's a really good coach and has a really good staff. So he's going to find out the best way to get those kids to be successful on top of the fact that they're talented already. Mike over at South Lakes, he likes to push it off on everybody else, but he's loaded. And then he got even more loaded with 2 transfers coming in from the private school. So we'll get to see that up close and personal on December 19th at our place. So that'll be a fun game. We'll play Hayfield again this year. That game actually is going to be on TV for the Capital Hoop Showcase. So that's going to be awesome. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be at South Lakes. So, the one thing the guy said, he said, I just need to make sure y'all sell it out. I said, well, we can sell out the Siegel Center. I think we can sell out South Lakes. So, so that'll be fun. But, Mike Robson always does a good job with his group over there, but I think they're kind of young. I heard that Tony, I haven't seen his group yet, but he's gonna, put out a really good product. What's called over at Marshall really coaches
Jerry
his tail
Lane.
off, man. Yeah, Jerry coaches his tail off, and his guys play really, really hard. They look almost mid-season form when we played them in June, the way they were running their offense. So, I think he's got a lot of guys coming back that are experienced. I don't want to leave anybody out or make them feel slighted or anything like that, but it's just, I'm not sure how Madison's going to be with the loss of the Miles Franklin kid. But he coaches his guys up the way that he does. Kevin's going to be better in year 2 with his guys than he was the previous year over at Westfield. So I enjoy the fact that all those guys are beating up on each other. I don't know if they changed the rotation of how we play in teams or what, but we don't have to worry about any of them until it's the actual state championship game. So
yeah, it's pathetic. What about
my bad. Woodson is going to be very good.
Woodson is going to be good.
Yeah, Doug's got a good group, couple big guys. One of his favorite guys he's a little undersized guy that plays really hard, is on the boards, and he's got a great personality, hilarious kid, and he's got a young point guard. I think that's pretty good. So they're going to be pretty good this year for sure.
Yeah. So when you look around, when you look around the rest of the state, I know it's early and it's really hard to tell. I know Oscar Smith, I hear, lost their big guy that you guys played against last year.
They did.
He went to IMG. That can't help. It's. I know you played
Lansdowne.
You played Lansdowne, but you also played the guy who played George Mason, the Patrick Henry point guard. He coached at a Richmond team, and LC Bird. I know you played LC Bird last year. They were decent. So, do you know any teams around the rest of the state that are going to be strong?
I mean, you got to think Lansdowne, I just mentioned, is going to be they were relatively young outside of the big kid that led them in scoring, and he does a really good job with his group as well. I know that Oscar Smith lost the big kid, but I mean, they always have athletes and talent, so I'm sure there'll be somebody else that's going to show up before November. Highland Springs now is in ours. And I think they still have that guard that was really, really good for them. That when we played them was it last year? Mm-hmm. That he had like 25 or so. So, I mean, it's another one of those things that we got to see how it kind of develops. I'm not for certain, if I had to guess, that a lot of the guys that we've seen in the past are going to be up there again. I'm not sure how Manchester's going to be down there in Richmond. They had a good team the last couple of years. James Rivers is usually pretty tough. So you just got to kind of play it out, see how it goes. It's just one of those things. Everybody can say us or South Lakes or whoever else is the possible favorites, but that's why they play the game, because I'm sure that 2 years ago everybody thought we were going to be in the state championship game as well, and then we end up taking that loss in the semis. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the? I know you did some live periods, and you guys have you take on all comers. You don't duck anybody. What do you see when you look around the DMV, the privates, Maryland and DC public? Sidwell Friends, obviously, I think two years in a row they won the city championship. Even though last year they had actually almost surprised people because they had a kind of a down regular season. But what do you see around the DMV?
Sidwell is going to be talented. We actually played them this season during the regular season. So
you played them? You played them?
We're playing them. Yeah,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be a showcase that we'll play them
in
December. we're going to scrimmage against Jackson Reed. So, I saw them a lot this summer, and they're obviously really good. And they won the Capital Hoop Summer League over the summer, which is obviously really good. Largo and Cam Ward, I think, is the best player in the whole DMV. I know that there's a lot of good players and everybody's got their different things, but I just, every time I see him, he just completely dominates the game. So Gwynn Park, they got the kid that committed to GW, so I know that they'll be pretty good. Private standpoint, like I said, I mentioned Sidwell. DeMatha is going to be pretty good. I think they're going to have probably a better year than they did last year. They struggled a little bit there in the summer, but then got it together down the stretch of that. And then Gonzaga's got talent. They got a really good guard, dark-skinned kid I thought was really good. So, talent, DMV just, is a hotbed for basketball. I think it's just talent up and down. Just, you just hope you don't catch them on the day when they're making all their shots when it comes to a lot of these teams. So, it's a lot of talent. It's going to be very interesting to watch it all play out and see how it goes when we play against some of these teams. We're going to play Riverdale Baptist as well.
Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it looks like to me you have 8, 9, 10 high quality matchups this year, even aside from districts.
Tell mom I'm on a Zoom. I'll call back in a second. Right.
I was saying that it looks like you have at least 8, 9, 10.
We have some good games. Like I said, we opened with Woodside, who was a Division V state champ. Obviously, they're super talented.
Are you and Steph still talking? You guys still talking trash?
I don't have anything else to say, man. I'm just going to keep it to myself because I know what really happened. But hey, people want to be different people on social media. It's all good. But we got them to open the season, so that I know that's been anticipated a little bit. And obviously got to play them over the summer. That was a really good game. So we'll see how it goes when it's for real. We are going to play, I told you about Sidwell. We're going to play South Lakes. We play Hampton, down in Hampton. I talked about the Riverdale game, where that's another one that's on the schedule. We're scrimmaging Highland and Jackson Reed. So those are two good scrimmages, but obviously that's not regular season. I feel like I'm missing something. It'll come to me at some point. But so, we're just trying to, we talked about, our district not being as strong as it's been in the past. So I just want to make sure that our guys are staying sharp, even though they might be playing some games where they might be winning by some large margins. I don't want it to be something where we're rolling into the month of February and we haven't played a game that is challenged us the way that we need to as far as the playoffs go.
Yeah. Plus, it's just fun. I mean, challenge is great and you need that, but it's great.
Oh, and we're playing Forest Park too. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We are going to play them during the regular season. I didn't want to leave them. I don't want Mac to be mad at me as my guy, but that's another one. So that's the one team we're playing from over on the eastern side of the county. Yeah.
Coach Mac, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
So Coach, do you follow the football? Because Patriot is strong again, but Battlefield looks like the team to beat out west. And obviously, it all goes through Freedom. Have you been? I know your son is a really good player. He's still playing flag football, but he scores every time he touches the ball. But have you been following the football this year?
Yeah. I mean, I go to the games on Friday nights and I'll go watch. And obviously, we got a guy playing out there, so invest in that way. But I mean, it's. I feel bad for Coach Finnerty for a little bit. He had 27 seniors on that team.
Is that right? Oh my God!
They got to the regional championship. So, to turn around, they're playing a lot of young kids. A lot of snaps. They've had probably about 5 season-ending injuries already at this point, and they've already had their bye week. So it's not like they're going to get relief of that going through the rest of the season. But they're doing a good job. He always does a good job of coaching his guys up. I know that, the purple team has been really good the last few years. And, obviously that's a big game that's going to happen in. But, the new school over there, the Birds down the street, they've been doing pretty well, as well, playing well. So that's a big matchup for our team next week, is they're going to play against each other this upcoming Friday. But
that's Gainesville, right?
Right. Yeah, correct. So the bottom line is, though, I mean, I hate to say it and they're going to be mad about it, but it's freedom. Like you said, just like I say for us, it's freedom until it isn't. It's not looking like it's going to be isn't for them. It's hard to say that they're going to play a tough game until they get to the state semifinal, and it might not even be that one. So,
So, Coach, you're a student of high school sports like me. You've been around.
Mhm.
You're a much better player than me, but you've been involved in it. You care. What wasn't it really cool when Freedom got a chance to line up against DeMatha? Now, these things don't happen every day. I mean, you and Carlos do a great job, Mike, now of scheduling as high level as you can. But
Right.
it's really hard to get these games on the schedule for lots of different reasons. Wasn't it a really interesting and cool thing when DeMatha traveled to Freedom to play a football game?
It was really cool. I actually went to the game when they first tried to play it. So, I was there. It was a pretty cool environment, man. Obviously, that the school of their stature coming down and playing a game in Woodbridge against, what Daryl and them are doing over there. So it was highly anticipated, but I know it doesn't happen as often in the football realm as it does for basketball, but it was a cool thing to see. I wish they could have finished the game so everybody could have saw that, DeMatha was about to take that loss, but it is what it is. But, so but it was really cool for Prince William County because, I know that we joke about it a little bit, but it's once you get past Arlington, Alexandria, and Fairfax, everybody's like, they're just kind of those guys down there. And it's very good to see that they're doing what they're doing from an individual standpoint for them, but obviously bringing attention to the other kids around in the surrounding areas in the county. So,
yeah, it's interesting that maybe Prince William hasn't gotten its due overall, but the players from Fairfax, we always knew. I mean, when I played, Potomac, Garfield, Woodbridge, they were always so tough. So
right.
we knew it was never any bargain to go south. I mean, those were tough kids. And
right.
And I think there was only 3 or 4 schools, if you don't, count Osborne Park, down there at the time, but they always had great coaches as well. So,
Correct.
if you went down south when I played, you were probably going to take a loss.
Right. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't ever remember losing to anybody up in that area when I was in high school. So somebody can go fact check that if you want, but I just was like, I don't remember when it became a thing where like they thought that we were going to lose those games from down here. So
no, I think in Northern Virginia we've always realized the strength of Prince William County, but I do think the Washington Post showed a lot of character, honesty when they took that game and didn't ignore it, and they moved Freedom to number 1 because anyone who saw the game, and I tried to get there, but it was a storm that night, so I had to watch online. But anyone who saw the game knew that Freedom was the better team.
Absolutely.
And I was so impressed with the Washington Post. Even though the game wasn't an official game, they saw what they saw, and they elevated Freedom to number 1.
Good for them. Just like the way that they've been ranking, just selfishly us the last few years. People don't realize how hard it is for public schools, especially Virginia public schools, to be ranked in the top 20 of the Washington Post. So if you get up in the top 5, you're doing something pretty special. And to be ranked number 1 overall, knowing that you have all the WCAC schools up there was a big accomplishment for them. And I'm sure they were very happy about that. But I know they got bigger goals in mind. So
yeah, but I think you coaches do a good job of trying to schedule teams from downtown and around the DMV. So you guys try to get that exposure, and I mean I know it's good for your kids' development, but it's also fun. I mean,
absolutely.
No one wants to play. I mean, you don't want to play Centerville, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions against Centerville, but you want to play the best teams that you can,
right?
When you're playing non-district. So
right.
Anyway, well, look, coaches, this has been great. I appreciate your time. Tell your son that it's you're finished. You can go back to doing whatever you guys do on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time, and let's get the game together again.
We got to, man. It's been way too long. We gotta get everybody back on here.
I try every time I try. It's always something. We got this. I mean,
come on, right? We're just gonna have to put a meeting day out there and say be there, and everybody will be there. They just talk until it just doesn't happen. So.
I mean, yeah. All right, Coach. But look, keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of what you guys accomplished. Looking forward to making some trips to Patriot this year.
Appreciate it. I want to mention Ryan Keenan too. Watch out for this name. Everybody, every year Lo says always like a guy for Patriot that pops out of nowhere. Ryan Keenan's gonna be a very good player for us this year for sure.
What year is he, Coach?
He's a senior. He's number 0 for us last year. Blonde haired kid. Played a little sparingly down the stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What position? What position does he play?
He's a guard.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good player. But I didn't get to mention him, so I want to make sure I got his name out there as well.
You think he's going to start?
Oh, I'm not sure. We'll see. We got a lot of kids that are pretty good, so it's going to be hard. But even if he doesn't, that's not something that's an end all be all, because if he's able to contribute, like you said, Ty didn't start for us last year and was a big player. With Kai Dillard, not Kai Wilcox. So we'll see.
I mean, it's so great for a coach to have options, because I mean you get foul trouble. There's you get injuries. You know, in a long season, there's so many. You're going to have a lot of unhappiness. So
Absolutely.
you know, as many of these good players they have, a Carlos last year compared to the year before, he was so deep last year. So you know, last year, you know, Greg was hurt most of the year, and
yeah,
he had 11, 12 options last year. The year
he
before,
really did. He really did. He really did.
The year before, I think, you know, he was 6. I think he felt comfortable with 6.
Right.
And
It's important. I mean, it's one thing that we've tried to really establish with our team is just the amount of depth we have. We know that we're going to wear teams down. So, you know, it's important for us to have guys that can contribute, even if they're not playing 20 to 30 minutes every night. So,
yeah. Who is your sleeper team in your district? If you had to choose, who is someone that you think could be better than we think?
I think Freedom South Riding.
Yeah.
I think that they could be better than what people might anticipate.
Everyone says good things about that coach.
He's a good guy, really good guy, good coach. You know, kids play hard. So I think that they could be better than what people think. So for sure. Definitely think that.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Again, keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate your time, and let's talk soon.
All right, Julian. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it, man.
Bye now.